today I was looking at something on Facebook, I think, and a load of information about different vegetables come up. So I thought I'd have a look at some of that information and do some more Googling as well. And I was having a look at kale, which is one of those things that everyone sort of goes on about. You always see like is it like even on t-shirts and things, people going on about how good kale is, but I guess a lot of people don't know why or ever sort of look into it. So I thought I'd do a little bit of research and tell you what I found out. I've got 6 points that I found out, so yeah, I thought I would tell you about those. So the first one is that kale has more absorbable calcium than a small carton of milk. So the big myth that we see loads of people repeating and sort of following is that milk is really good for your bones, really good for calcium, and the same with yogurts and things, and the sort of milk industry really promote this really well, but actually there's a lot more calcium and a lot better for your bones in a lot of leafy greens. So that's because the way the calcium's absorbed is actually prevented by something in the milk. There's a chemical in there that stops it being absorbed at a very good rate, but things like kale and other leafy greens help you actually absorb it really well. So you're better off eating those for if you're worried about your health, your bone structure and building strong bones in kids and things, rather than lots of dairy products. So that's the first one, and probably the most important thing to say, because it's quite a big myth, and certainly in the UK it's been promoted heavily by the dairy industry, and it's one of a lot of people's bugbears that a lot of people follow this information when it's not really true. So yeah, I mean, I'd say on all these things, I'm not a doctor, and this is things that I've researched and found in lots of different sources, lots of different publications that are sort of trusted sources. I've put some of the links below so you can check them out yourself and Google yourself. I'd always say to check things out yourself, not just trust random people on the internet. But yeah, there's lots of information out there, so do go and read some of that. So point 2, and another good reason kale is called a superfood, is that that 1 cup of chopped kale has 134% of your recommended daily intake of vitamin C. So you can compare that to an orange, which you would always sort of go to straight for your vitamin C kind of intake. That has 113% of your daily vitamin C intake. So that's sort of noteworthy because the kale is weighs a lot less, so gram for gram you get a lot more vitamin C, so i.e. you have to eat less of it to get your vitamin C intake. So that's really important, and something a lot of people don't get enough of these days because they're eating sort of processed things. So yeah, so that's another good reason to eat kale. And point 3 is on a very similar note, that 1 cup of chopped raw kale provides more than 100% of your daily allowance of vitamin A and K. So they're vitamins that a lot of people don't get enough of either. So that's another one in a very similar thing to the vitamin C. One of the big health benefits that is stated quite a lot online is that kale can reduce your cholesterol, so it can help reduce the risk of heart disease. This is, I haven't sort of gone into the detail of this, it's probably best you look into it yourself, but it's basically the way that the bile is produced in the body and reabsorbed, so it stops the different types of cholesterol building up. So over a long period of time it would really help to reduce the build up of that cholesterol. So yeah, so if you suffer from things like that, that's definitely worth looking into. But there are some drugs that it doesn't particularly work well with, so you do need to check on that. So in the same vein as the vitamins, my point number 5 is that you can get some minerals that a lot of people miss out on in a normal sort of diet. So kale is quite high in magnesium, potassium and calcium. So calcium I've already talked about, but magnesium and potassium are also quite high in kale and some other leafy greens. So it's a good source of that, often missing in a lot of the sort of more processed food and different types of food. And my last point, number 6, is one that most people probably like the most. It's that kale can help you reduce weight quite well, because it's got quite a lot of bulk compared to calories, i.e. it's quite low in calories. So like the sort of thing that a lot of people say about celery, eating celery, you sort of burn off more chewing it than you do eating it. It's a very similar thing. It's quite, you can eat quite a lot of it and it'll fill you up, so you'll feel full, but you won't have actually eaten that many calories, so you won't have put on, it won't make you put on weight because you've eaten a lot. So yeah, so it's a good thing to have in salads and things like that, because it means that you feel full, but actually you've not eaten tons of calories compared to other foods you could have put in that salad. So that's my 6 points about kale. There's loads of other things, loads of more scientific stuff I could have talked about. There's lots of information online from good sources. As I said, I've put some links down below, so do check those out, but also do some other research. There's loads of benefits of kale, and there's loads of really good recipes using kale. So there's loads of things you can put it in. It can be really nice. It's one of those things you probably want to build up slowly, so you get used to the taste if you haven't eaten it much. But yeah, I hope that's interesting, helps somebody. If you've got any questions, do let me know. And yeah, hope you're having a nice day. Bye.